Hello students, welcome to this class of MA Final Indian Writing in English, that is paper 4, and I am Dr.S.S.Vaidwan, Department of English. Today we are going to discuss a beautiful sonnet by Shri Aurobindo, and the title of the sonnet is A Dream Surreal Science. So before we start the sonnet, let us discuss about Shri Aurobindo. Shri Aurobindo was born on 15th August 1872 and he passed away on 5th December 1950. He was born in an affluent Bengali family at Calcutta, now Kolkata. His father, Dr. Krishnanandan Ghosh, was a surgeon and a very well educated personality of that time, and he desired English education for his children as well. Sri Aurobindo was forced to appear for his prestigious IECS exam, which he cleared but never joined. He was educated in the convent schools of Kolkata and later on he went to England for his higher education along with his brothers. Sri Aurobindo is a multifaceted personality, dear students. He had many dimensions to his personality. He was a patriot, a freedom fighter, a yogi, philosopher, and a poet. So his personality is multidimensional, and he was at the same time a mystic, and all his poems they have mystical themes. He draws his symbol from the past as well as from the modern times and uses them in his poems, and some of his works they are highly immersed in the freedom struggle also. He exploits the various myths and uses them in modern context to make us realize the purpose of our existence. The present poem, dear students, a Dream Surreal Science, is a sonnet. As I told you, it is a sonnet of 14 lines, and the pattern followed by Shri Aurobindo is the pattern of the English sonnet, that is the popular Shakespearean sonnet. And the rhyme scheme of this sonnet is A B A B C D C D E F E F G G. So before we start with the sonnet, let us discuss what is surreal. Surreal means something very strange, like a dream, and the poet in this particular sonnet he talks about the divine life, he talks about the human physiology, and this sonnet is a sonnet that satirizes science. The poet opines that science it has disturbed human beings and the thought process of human beings. The poet satirizes science as science has disturbed the thought process of human beings and the way human beings are treating nature. So the poet he says that the real thing is what will happen next. How the human being will balance all his four uh, natures: black bile, that is melancholy; yellow, that is anger; blood or sanguine, whether he is happy or he is not feeling happy; and flame, that is deep thinking or kind hearted. The poet in this particular sonnet, dear students, he says that the uh, dream. He says that this dream, dream of surreal science, he says it gives us penetrating insights into human physiology. As I told you, the poem is a surreal dream. A surreal dream is one which does not resemble reality. That is, it has nothing to do with the reality. The object of this poem, the sonnet, in which Shri Aurobindo discusses the role of hormones and glands, is determining human behavior. He discusses all these things in the sonnet. So let us discuss the sonnet. Let us talk about the sonnet. I will read it out to you, and I request you to take out your notebooks. A dream of surreal science. One dreamed and saw a gland, write Hamlet. So straight away he here describes Shakespeare, the great writer. Drink at the Mermaid, capture immortality, a comedy of hormones of the Aegean brink, composed by Iliad and the Odyssey. So he straight away gives us images from the Iliad and Odyssey and of the Aegean Sea, the great Aegean Sea, and the painting. The mermaid captured immortality. How all these great writers, they created great literature. How they painted the literary scene, nature, and the great literary activities. A thyroid meditating almost nude under the bo tree saw the eternal light. So the eternal light here refers to the Buddha, and a thyroid is a gland, dear students, in our body, and it helps us maintain all the balance, physiological balance in our body. That is, they represent the black bile, that is melancholy, yellow, that is anger, and blood, that is happiness, and flame, that is deep thinking or kind hearted. Whether a person is full of melancholy or full of anger, or is he happy, or is he in some kind of deep thought. So all these are represented by all these four balances, and rising from its mighty solitude spoke of the wheel and eightfold path, all right. That is the teachings of Buddha. A brain by distorted stoma driven thundered through Europe, conquered, ruled, and fell. Now he talks about the colonization. How some of the people from Europe, they colonized the whole world, ruled and fell. And what happened to them? Ultimately, their rule collapsed. And most of the colonies, they attained freedom. From St. Helena went perhaps to heaven, thus wagged on the surreal world. Until a scientist played with atoms and blew out. Here, the scientist referred is Einstein. The universe before God had time to shout. And how the science, it has made us think in a different way. Now people, they don't think much about God or the religious teachings or the ways of the Buddha. But now people think in the scientific way. The temperament of thinking has changed, and in the last couplet, he says that a scientist played with atoms. Now, this is a reference to Einstein, and blew out the universe before God had time to shout. And this is how this scientist, the scientific teachings, they made us think differently about this universe. Earlier it was thought of a creation of God, but now the scientific discoveries and the advancement of science, it has revealed to us how things have happened, how this universe was created. So in this particular sonnet, the poet, that is Shri Aurobindo, he has focused on the way human thought, human physiology, it is now governed by science and scientific temperament. Dear student, the painter here referred to is John Fate, the famous painter who painted this sculpture, this mermaid, and it captured to immortality. I hope the sonnet is clear to you. So let us talk more about this sonnet. As I told you, in this sonnet, Shri Aurobindo discussed some well-known personalities of different times and he highlights their peculiarities on the basis of their physiology, which may sound uh, something wayward to a layman. But he says the poem is a satire. It is a satire which parodies the discoveries of science. In the first two lines, you might have noticed, dear students, the speaker dreams about the gland that wrote Hamlet, that is a reference to Shakespeare, and who drank at Mermaid Tavern, obviously referring to Shakespeare. Here he refers to Shakespeare who wrote Hamlet and often drank at Mermaid Tavern, which was his favorite pub. So this is a reference to Shakespeare. Next, a committee of hormones on the edge of agency is given the credit for the authorship of Iliad and Odyssey. So here the reference is to the great writer Homer, whom the rest of the world recognizes to be the author of these two great epics. Now these lines on Homer, the writer of the great epics, also allude to the controversy that existed regarding multiple authorship of Iliad and Odyssey. The next quatrain, beginning with thyroid, meditating under the Bodhi tree and speaking of the wheel and the eightfold path, these lines clearly refer to Gautam Buddha. It is believed that Buddha possessed all the 32 major signs of a great man and no thyroid dysfunction. He was a very well balanced personality. This shows that Shri Aurobindo, he gave credit of tranquil equanimity, healing, spiritual meditative practices and mind body harmonization are identified with optimum thyroid function. So again, if we look at the other references, the other references is to the Vishuddha chakra over the thyroid is recognized as the life energy center that deals with communication, self-expression and creativity. In the next four lines, the speaker discusses Napoleon Bonaparte, the great conqueror, and holds his sickly stomach responsible for his chaotic temperament. As you all know, Napoleon rose to prominence during the later stages of the French Revolution and led various successful invasions throughout the continent of Europe. So, and again, following his defeat, he was forced to abdicate and was exiled to the island of St. Helena, where he died on 5th May 1821. When an autopsy was performed on his body, it was revealed that he had died of stomach cancer. However, some scholars also believe that he was a victim of arsenic poisoning. The poem Surreal Dream, Surreal Science ends with a couplet in which Shri Aurobindo further highlights the whims of human mind. He gives us a picture of scientists playing with atoms like curious children. The word play here suggests that the scientists are immature in their minds and do not understand the devastation that an atom is capable of causing. As we all know, that the poem was composed in the year 1939, the year the Second World War began. However, Shri Aurobindo, he refers that playing with atoms will definitely be cause of some great catastrophe. And his prophecy proved right when atom bombs, little boy and fat man were dropped over Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. So, dear students, in this particular sonnet, Surreal Science, Shri Aurobindo has told us in these beautiful 14 lines sonnet how the scientific temperament has created a different thought process and how it has disturbed the physiology of human beings and how the great writers, how the great conquerors, they all met their end. I hope you have understood the sonnet. Thank you very much.